No, I didn't bring it up front.
Well, thank you for your 20% of the trade this summer.
Ah, I know. Maybe like 250 pounds.
Gosh,
I swear to you. Between all five vehicles. My kids are bouncing off the restaurant. That's the first one you think of.
Yeah, first one you've been with, that had to come through.
All the others.
Maybe the one on the civil that we had done, and
Oh,
so the roof project, I think.
oh, you get a group.
Yeah. One of the residents' sons is a contractor. It's a Saturday. Oh, yeah, Jim, man.
Yeah. I don't know, yeah.
Oh, but then it's worth giving up Saturday, you and
Yeah.
so he's in charge of the labor.
That's not what it was worth right now. That's when you were massage. Well, the old clean burners. You're coming out like this. You got this ball head mount. And now it's
Oh, wow.
beautiful. It's like, rocks out of the source. Can't keep them to stop.
still out of touch. Oh, really? Good. Good. Seems like a month from now, probably whatever. Yeah, she said she said about this and pictures of the kids fishing around now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm having fun. About a week of the summer. This is the Ocean Cruise, isn't it? Are you busy? Yeah. Yeah, all these consolidated funding applications for the regional economic development. Council grants are due. So it's always a rush. Water and sewer projects funded. Environmental Facilities Corporations funding our DEC and then also advice for development. And Platt will hold those and stuff. 30% quota. Funny picture, it's so easy to scroll on. And a lot of these other yes, yeah. So it's like, yeah. Just works, that works full time.
inside, all the layers coming out, the ground, and also like that.
Where am I today? I just want to put Jim a little bit more in the middle.
No, that's all right.
Getting the breakfast table, I have a tablecloth that belongs to the city in my car. Again.
Oh, hi, nice to meet you. He's been enjoying himself thoroughly.
I think so.
Alligator jacket, but it's actually warm.
Yes, it is quite
Glad you lifted that boil of water. Glad you lifted that boil of water.
Yeah, we do what we can, you know? Which one?
Champlain? Is it good? Oh, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, the big one out there.
Big break, huh?
We're just the middleman. Freaking water district.
Okay, we please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Call the meeting to order for Monday, July 24th, 2017. Planning Board meeting. Item number 1 will be approval of the June 26, 2017 regular meeting minutes. Do you have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the minutes as depicted.
I'll second.
Second, John. Any comment, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Item number 2, Planning Board 2017-12, 29 Hamilton Street. I have a long form seeker. It is a historic site plan review, request to repair / renovate a porch. The applicant is Albert Ball and the plan developer is Mr. Ball. Can you please step forward?
First time here, so what do you want me to do? Just explain what the
Yep,
client
you
wants done?
go
Well,
through
the
your
place is
application.
falling into disrepair. The outer edge of the deck boards are starting to rot back. What he asked me to do is to cut back the edging about 8 inches and run another board in the opposite direction across the face of it. And all of the enclosed areas across it, the rail and the enclosed area on the end, it's 3 different types of wood. There's plywood, there's clapboard, and then it's appears to be like a texture 111 on a different side. I don't know what is original of it, what's not, but he would like to take out all the enclosed section and put new top and bottom rails in with spindles in between, and then paint everything white again.
So you have a varying degree of materials. Do you know what the deck boards?
The original deck boards, I believe, they're oak. I could be wrong on that, I'm not sure, it's really old. He had asked, like I said, to cut the end off and to run a pressure treated board running the opposite way, and then everything would be painted, so it would look all the same color. Obviously, it would be a different piece of wood. Again, I'm just relaying to you what he's asked me. Personally, I would replace the whole deck if it was mine, but that's not my choice.
That's what I was gonna ask. You're speaking of cutting this down
Correct. Cut
and then,
it back
and just
8
putting a
inches.
piece in?
Yep.
It seems to me you'd almost, I mean, by looking at this board, you'd almost wanna replace everything, because it looks like it's not long before.
It's actually to the inside of the rail,
Mhm.
the wood is good. It's just the outside that's really bad. Yeah,
So basically take the rail down,
yep,
cut from where the rail is on top of this,
yep.
and then replace with,
Replace that. It would require supporting the roof, taking the weight load out of it, and then it would have a new seat for all of the roof supports to sit on.
okay, so the post would be replaced as well? Is that what you're speaking?
Around the outer, it's pine around the outside of it. Those are rotted. It's a square pine, and then it's got another pine set around it. The outer sets of that would be replaced.
Gotcha.
And then you're gonna replace the solid rail with what?
Spindles, open spindle.
What kind of spindles?
Originally, they wanted the decorative spindles, but he has since called me because everything else in the area is just square stock spindles, and he didn't want the house to look different from the rest of them, so it would be square stock.
Square stock pressure treated.
Yeah.
And this white thing on the end, the enclosure, sort of porch thing, is that remaining or is that?
No, he wants that taken out as well because it's made up of different types of wood. On one side, it appears to be a texture 111 that's painted. On the other side, it's 4-inch clapboard. Again, on the front side of the house, it's just plywood. Everything's different, so he wants to make everything uniform throughout.
So you're gonna continue a rail and then replace the
Around the
rail on
corner of
those
the house.
steps? Are you gonna replace the rail on the steps
Yep.
as well?
Yep.
So we have kind of a hard time here because you really can't speak very well for the owner. If we say to you, well, we really don't want you to use pressure treated, we want you to use
Oak.
real non-pressure treated wood, so it'll take paint better and again, I'd feel better too if you had some photos of houses in the neighborhood that are saying that it's square as opposed to spindle, turn spindle type, because there's nothing here to tell us that that's really the appropriate style.
Okay, he did give me a letter authorizing me to make decisions for him. So if you wanted oak to go in, then oak would be in instead of pressure treated. I can take pictures and resubmit.
And I think, to your point as well, I don't think square stock is
Is
The answer.
appropriate to that.
No,
house, right.
no.
whether the neighbors have done it in the past or not.
Doesn't
really
make it right, yeah.
right. So,
Yeah, I think turn spindles is what we want, and of
Not
course
necessarily oak, but,
we can't see very well, but this end of the house has this little vestibule with the stained glass entrance. Is there something behind the tree that's underneath all that porch structure on the right-hand side
Dissimilar.
that looks sort of like the left-hand side, or is it only the
It's-
left-hand
it's
side?
spindles going down, I believe, on that side.
Instead of stained glass? you mean?
It's where the stained glass is,
Yeah.
that's just on the front side. It's actually,
No, I mean, is the other end a mirror image of this end underneath all the crap that you're
no,
gonna
they're
remove?
different.
They're different, okay.
Yeah.
So what's it look like at the other end? Just a plain doorway?
There's actually, for the first, can I walk?
Yeah,
up?
sure.
You can marker, you can just mark on the screen.
From where the step is
Yep,
to right here, it's actually about 3 feet, and it's just a rail with spindles, and then this section of it is closed in from the top down for the rest of the distance, which would be from here
To the
to
front door.
about 5 feet till it hits the door.
so I'm wondering if we tell you to do a certain thing and you rip all of this off, right? You rip all the right-hand structure off. I'm just wondering, what does it look like under there? What are we gonna be seeing when you then install spindles? Are we seeing something that's
This portion here,
not so good looking also?
if this all comes down, does this mirror this side?
If it all comes down, are they gonna be the same? No, because the right side doesn't have, the enclosure on the front side that this side does. Both sides are different right now, as it stands. It's actually, the whole front is different as it stands with all different types of wood. It's just something that somebody's done, at one point, and then somebody's done something else at another point, and then somebody's changed something else at another point. He's trying to bring it all together.
Well, I think we definitely want spindles, and again, when you start creating new porch posts for the far right end where you don't have a porch post, or not a visible one right now because it's enclosed, of course, they need to be the same.
They're
Right.
actually, the vertical posts are
Uh-huh.
there, it's
It's
just
just
been filled in.
filled in with stuff.
between it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you undo it, do you think they're gonna be okay, or you're probably gonna have to replace the outer layer?
If the outer layer has to be replaced, it would, yes. But if it's good, then I would keep it the same as everything else that's there, and then just continue the spindles across the new rail.
Are the brackets also behind the white enclosure? The brackets that are
At the
on
top of each spindle?
each post?
That, I do not
Yeah.
know, it's fully enclosed, it's very possible they are
It'll be a
there.
surprise.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can't tell you what's inside the.
So they would
Wow.
need to be added at
And
the
if we
other
could get rid
ends.
of the satellite dish, that'd be wonderful too. I don't think that's, well, I don't know, maybe that's gonna happen, find out if it's actually in use. Get rid of it if it's not. And then the other thing we've discussed before, Kevin, this railing is probably not 3 feet high, but in the end, when they start redoing it, it's gonna have to be 3 feet high, right? Is it gonna, or 42 inches or whatever the
I'm not
number
sure.
is?
Do you know how high the deck is off the surrounding ground?
From the ground to the surface of the deck, it's about 24, maybe 26
I
inches.
think it's, I wanna say 30 inches,
Depends on how
Must
high
have railing.
it is before you need a higher
before you
railing.
need a railing, yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
so you might be okay, cause it's so low off the ground.
And of course, if that is the case, we want it, the height, this lower type railing, if the building code allows it, that's where we want the height to remain because that's the right look.
He had
Okay.
actually mentioned that, staying with a lower height,
Yes,
because if we went higher, it would go across the view of the windows
yeah,
all the way across
Mhm.
it.
yeah. We do want to keep it that height. So we still need to discuss chopping off the edges of the floorboards and replacing with something going sideways, which I'm not real crazy about.
And it's gonna be more visible, because now you've got an open railing, I think. Because the railing's not, the railing that you replace it with, is it gonna also come down and touch the deck?
No.
The way it does now?
It
Right, so
would
there'll be
be-
clearance.
Yeah, a clearance under it, so that the snow could be
Do we have the
pushed off.
comment letter from Arch handy at all?
I think we do, you don't have it
What is
with you, we got a letter from,
An email
an
from,
email, we had it last month.
I
can get it if you
last
don't.
month's notes.
He
right
basically said though, there was some discussion about the pressure treated,
mhm,
that he wasn't in favor of.
yeah. And what are we looking at here? Is this just repainting? What are we?
Yeah.
This
It's-
is just
it's been
scraping
painted
paint?
Before, and it's all peeling again, he just wants everything pressure washed and repainted.
Yeah, no, you don't have to ask us about paint, okay, but building structure, yes.
Kevin?
Yeah, I'd like to Steve's comments one more time, if possible. Okay. He's suggesting his order of preference, and this is a person who's very good at this restoration type of, to replace the deteriorated flooring with new, non-pressure treated, tongue and groove material identical to the existing flooring, and stagger the joints so there isn't a long cut line where you just chop it up. So something like this, and then once it's painted, but it definitely would not be one long board. It'd be a whole, it's more labor intensive, right? A whole series of short boards of different lengths, replacing the stuff that is so terribly deteriorated as it sticks out. That was what he suggested, and then, of course, the next suggestion is replace the entire floor, which your guide doesn't want to do. Okay.
If it's gonna get into where cutting back into it on different sections, I would lean towards talking him to doing the
I mean,
whole
clearly, I
thing.
think that would be the best. I mean, to just replace the entire floor, and then.
I agree. Replacing the entire floor is the way to go, rather than
Yeah.
trying to Band-Aid this. And you know, if you Band-Aid it, now,
And stuff will swell differently, and, oh, yeah. And again, you know, I would think you're gonna go the whole floor, and not pressure treated. Okay? And then spindle type, and I'm thinking spindle pine. I mean, I don't think you need to go spindle oak outside. Any,
It would be good to know what's available,
yeah,
because
You're gonna paint it, pine would be fine.
yeah, I mean, it's all gonna be
Individuals?
painted, yeah.
got it.
As opposed to stained something, so you can see oak grain. You're not gonna see any grain when this is a finished product.
Paint it, no?
You know what your existing, handrail setup is?
It's all pine.
It's all pine?
Yeah.
Probably match it, yeah, so you could match existing wood, basically.
Using pine, yes, but just taking out the enclosure, it would be a modern top rail and bottom rail with the spindles versus just everything square cut that's like it is there right now.
Okay.
I think he's gonna be really happy with the finished product if it's,
I know I would have.
Yeah.
If it goes to the extent of it.
yes.
right.
Okay, do we have any other discussion or comments?
Now, you had said that pine is fine, being that it's gonna be painted, pressure treated basically is just a treated pine, being that it's gonna be painted for the spindles. Would that still be fine, or do they just have to be regular?
I'm never a fan of pressure treated on
Right.
historical properties.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because a lot of times they sit for a few years before they get painted, only because they need to.
Yep, they're fully pure, cause most stuff comes still green.
kind of
Right.
wet,
Unless it's hidden or subgrade.
Right.
yeah. So the idea is you wanna get your job done. You're gonna get it constructed and painted and done. And
Otherwise,
we're not
2
gonna
years
wait
from now,
2 years
we're-
to get it
You
painted.
know, how come it hasn't been painted?
Or never.
You know,
Yeah.
type of thing.
So if he agrees to go with replacing the deck, doing all non-pressure treated on the railing assemblies and whatnot, do I need to reapply to come back here next month to go forth with it?
And we're gonna vote on it tonight, I think,
Okay,
with instructions. Seeker next?
Yes, we're
Yeah.
gonna move to the seeker if there's no other comments.
I'm
Okay.
good.
We do have a long-form seeker on file. I guess, first thing probably ought to address is the description, 'cause it does talk
Yeah.
about pressure treated in there.
Yeah,
So,
we're changing the, replace with pine. Do we need to say the word non-pressure treated pine?
okay,
That's pretty clear. So that description now says with non-pressure treated pine.
And round spindles,
And,
spun or spun spindles.
Turned,
turn,
spindles.
Turned.
yeah. And we're removing the, other pressure treated words where it says pressure treated rails. So replace with pine rails and turned spindles, paint on all sides. And again, we don't care about the upper trim painting on the house. It's fine.
Well, we're happy that you're doing it.
We're happy with doing it, but we don't have control over it.
Okay.
And let's check all of our other
Eliminating the
answers.
cutoff
Say
of the
any other
village.
comments?
Hold on,
Just gonna
get to
say,
the end.
Uniform,
Deck.
both sides, make sure they're uniform.
Yes,
That's
that
the key word that he used, that was good, you
Yeah.
know?
that your
Uniform.
Finish.
finish, when you have your trim that comes off each post, whatever you find underneath the right-hand side, you need to make it look the same, as much as you can. I realize that the doorways, the stained glass doorway's different on the other end, et cetera, but just the outer structure, if you make it look the same, okay? Oh, so many questions. Okay.
Okay, if I don't
So-
have any other comments, do I have a motion on the seeker?
I'm gonna change, it looks like seeker on page 13, and maybe we need to change the answer, maybe not. It's talking about being, that it's in or adjacent to something that's sensitive as an archaeological site, so maybe it is, but I don't think we have any archaeological things happening underneath this particular project, or that we need to worry about it for this porch.
Okay, that's.
So
item
yes or
D.
no, but just saying, it may be yes, but we don't think it's relevant.
Yeah, I circled that too. I don't
Yeah.
think it's relevant.
I don't think it's relevant, okay? Just to make that clear. Let's see. And I'm wondering if on H, would the project be visible within 5 miles of a publicly accessible local scenic or aesthetic resource? Is that the lake? No?
It's not
It's
visible
not
from the
considered?
lake, though.
You don't think it's visible from the lake?
It's not visible from the
Okay.
lake. Because you've got trees all along the railroad line
Okay,
across the,
okay, just asking.
I think we've got too much between it and the lake.
Okay, that's it. So those are the things we had to fix on the seeker before we approve the seeker. I'd like to make a motion that we find no adverse environmental impact with part 1 of the seeker that we're voting on, as amended for this application.
Okay, do I have a second?
Yes.
Second. Any other comments?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right?
Opposed? Can I, get a motion in regards to the application?
I'd like to make a motion to approve appeal 2017-12 for 29 Hamilton Street to repair and renovate the porch as described on the seeker, using only non-pressure treated pine and replacing the entire porch deck, not small sections of the porch deck, and replacing the current railing system with pine rails and turned spindles at the same height as presently allowed. Anything else?
Second?
Second. Okay, no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Okay, moving along to item number 3. This is planning board agenda item 2017-15, 61 Beekman Street. There's a long form seeker. It's historic site review, request to remove and replace rotted fascia and remove and replace windows and window sills with the same style as existing. Applicant is Ryan's Masonry, the plan developer is Ryan's Masonry. For this application, I'll recuse myself because I'm on the board of the Valsone.
I can still sit here, right?
Marissa will.
Yeah, I don't need to go over there, okay. Okay, you've been in front of us before, so I think you know how to, so let's just leap right into it. You're gonna tell us what you're doing.
Okay, the windows, okay, so the top fascia right there is all rotted.
Right,
But the thing is, it's Like,
You can go right up there. Somebody might have a pointer, maybe.
That's metal, where it's bent over. for
Okay.
flashing. We're gonna take that seam right there, open it back up, bend it up
Oh,
with
I
our
see.
creeps. Here, I mean, the tools to creep it back up.
Yeah.
Replace the facial board, same way as it is. Creep it back down, same style, everything. We aren't touching other flashing. We might add a little bit of corner flashing, step flashing in,
Uh-huh,
but you won't see it.
mm-hmm,
We have underneath the other stuff.
okay,
So everything stays the same.
okay, so that's,
A little bit of pine wood, paint it.
yep. Okay. Let's see.
And same thing with your window frames?
And the window, can we get the picture of the window frames up and he can point what's important happening there?
Everything's the same.
Okay,
We
so,
will cut that back and then need to chase with the window with a sawzall, replace it, cock it, everything the same. Ready to go.
so no stonework
No.
happening, it's
No.
just woodwork happening, okay? And your material will be pine,
Yes, ma'am.
okay?
And everything will be primer and painted.
Okay, and no pressure treated happening?
No.
Okay, we got some,
Yeah.
we've got other pictures, anything? Are they just close-ups, different close-ups?
Yep.
Are they on one side of the building?
No, it's, two different sides.
Two different sides, what
Yes.
side? North, we got north, west?
North and east.
North and east? Okay. So one facing Beekman and one facing the hospital?
Yes,
Got it.
Other thing is, where there's certain spots where one window might just need a little love and the other one needs a sill,
Yeah.
but everything's, justice is right there in the picture, you can see.
Mhm.
The color will be matched the best we can from Shaw Williams,
Mm-hmm,
like always.
okay, okay,
And we will counter flash in the bottom where the stone is,
mm-hmm,
but you won't see none of that.
okay, be under there.
Yes,
Okay.
but just for moisture and everything not to rot it out.
Okay, so to add to the application, I'm not sure if it was in here the first time, but we're recognizing that we have permission from Scott Farquharson, pronouncing that right, from the Vilas Home, authorizing you, and you're here anyway, so you're authorizing him to speak to you. Okay. We have a long-form seeker, and let's make sure the descriptions work. Remove the routed fascia, replace with new, remove 3 window sills and woodwork around 3 windows and replace with new wood, which will be pine, same style as existing. We have both the planning board and the building permit noted. On page 13, okay, page 13, the last page. Does the project contain or is it substantially contiguous to a building on the historic register? And the answer should be yes, so that's why you're here.
Okay.
So we're changing that answer to yes. And anybody see anything else that needs to be changed in terms of answers when they look through here? Any further discussion on anything that might affect the seeker? Can I have a motion on the seeker?
I'll make a motion to approve seeker.
No adverse environmental
No,
impact?
no adverse, no.
Do I have a second?
Yes. Second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Passed. Seeker's passed. Any further discussion on the application itself?
No,
You're good? Okay. Can I have a motion on the actual application?
I'll make a motion on 2017-16, so, 15, 61 Beekman, to remove and replace routed fascia and remove the replace window and window sills at the same
No, not
Style?
windows, no windows, just window sills.
window sills.
Yeah.
The same style as existing? Can I have,
Same
it
style
With
existing.
pine.
with pine?
With pine.
Yeah.
And painted to the same color.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Passed.
thank you guys. Have a good night.
But you can
Yeah, yeah, it's getting better at it.
dotted, oh, yeah. He knows not to use the keyboard.
Okay, Okay, moving on to item number 4, Planning Board Agenda Item 2017-16, 17 Cumberland Avenue. I have a long form seeker. It's a historic site review, request to replace handicap ramp, replace picket fence with 19th century board fence, replace clapboards and paint exterior. The applicant is the Kent Delord House Museum. Plan developer is Don Whitman. Thank you.
Good evening. I come with a laundry list here because Kevin advised that it might be good to add everything at one time rather
Yes.
than have to come back and see you folks again, which I don't mind. Okay, Jody, I'm seeing where, we might as well start with the first one. That photo's up there is to, in 1925, William Minor, after he purchased his house, as far as we can figure, erected a picket fence in many locations. None of them are standing now except the one that was along this west border. And you could see what was happening to it. When this photo was taken, only the posts are remaining. The pickets were getting pushed out, they were rotting, and the fence had been replaced at least one other time in 1980. It was deplorable, and right now all those posts are gone. And Jody, if you could show them. And part of it was what I was looking at the possible, oh, could you go down, please, or up? The option that I was, the only one that I was considering possibly was that you'd have to build another picket fence to replace it. However, the photo right under,
We're trying.
the real little guy
Okay,
there,
we go.
it's a photo that was taken about 1920, and I apologize for it being small up there, but it shows at the extreme
I like
northern
that
end
fence.
of that
Nice
western border fence
Cool looking.
is a 3-board fence still in existence that would have been there from the 19th century when the Halls, which were the last surviving Delords, would have owned the property. Far more utilitarian than a picket fence. And to add a little more substance and about the fact that the Halls used those fence, the photo taken in 1913 of the Champlain Monument before Fanny Delord Hall died shows, except for the front, a board fence surrounding the entire eastern edge of the property. And there's one more also. If you go down a little further, Jody, sorry.
No, it's fine.
Okay, past this one.
This one here? Which is
Right there on that one is that they
Yeah.
also showed that they were being used on the front of the house next to that famous Chippendale fence that's still in existence. That is the pride of the garden club. So I'm using this as research to return this fence to the western border. And I know, Marika, you just mentioned the pressure-treated word, is that what we were looking at for post material only, and that's for longevity, and I put in there the fact that it would be stained within 1 year, is only for the posts, but the rest of it would be all rough-cut pine boards, which the same things probably the Halls used from the condition that they have. We were able to, I was playing around with some of those photos and tweaking dimensions of the lumber between 1x6 and 1x7s. Approximate dimensions, they were apart, and I would only ask if I could drop a lower one so our neighbors who play basketball, the balls can't slide under it. And therefore, nobody gets the urge to climb over the fence. That would be my only need. So that's what I'm looking for, it's a 215-foot fence.
Well, go ahead.
Are these 4x4 posts? that you're looking
The ones I would plan for is approximately 4x4, maybe 5x5. It's a little hard to figure that one out. These are about 7 inches in diameter. And the spacing that we would use right now is the exact spacing of the present post, because why dig a hole again? And also it wouldn't trigger anything archaeologically.
Right. Can you get those in cedar instead of pressure treated?
I
know they
didn't
sell-
ask that, but I could ask that.
I know they sell 4x4 cedar posts,
Okay,
which survive underground.
yes, yeah.
better.
There's a lot of water that comes off Charlotte Johnson's property there and sits in there. The soil is very rich and moist.
Have you thought about how are the boards just gonna be nailed to
Yes.
so it's not there's no mortise tenon sliding through
No.
concept or anything?
Not that I can see from any, and we do
Yeah, and there's
have
no
a
way to
vestige.
tell, yeah.
And we have a vestige of a fence that was behind the house that's next to the compost pile, and it shows it was simply nailed.
Okay,
Nice to have a living, sort of a semi-living example.
Mm.
But it would just be like, what we really like to do is the time period of the house is the 19th century, is to try to put it back to that, instead of when William Minor was establishing it and making a colonial revival museum that was more of the 1920s, 1930s.
Right. And their use of it as an agricultural space. because
Yes.
A fair amount of that was what they were doing. with it.
Right, he plowed over, basically under all the ornamental gardens that were there in the 1915.
Man of action.
So you also have a ramp that you want? to
Yes.
place.
But I will tell you right now, this is not there anymore. We had some Catholic youth camp workers here, and that is gone. And the reason why it's gone is because it was not at all up to ADA qualifications. The ramp for the wheelchair was 4x4, and the ramp itself was 1 to 6. So our goal would be to make the entire thing ADA compliant, 5x5 ramp, 1 to 12 ramp, 5x5, turning and handrails on both sides, and it would totally match the deck of the kitchen porch,
What's the length going to be to get the 1 to 12?
about 13 feet.
Is it going to be a straight ramp?
It would be a straight ramp, but the interesting part is that the ramp can be kicked back 2 more feet. There's a window well there, it wouldn't block the window well, and planning it out, it would still be hidden by both sections of the house.
That's what we were.
And it wouldn't be visible, and again, this is out the rear entrance, right? Nothing on the front facade. Now, our goal would be for longevity, and you might kick it to cedar, is to use the frame out of at least pressure treated, maybe the handrails, but the decking, I would leave yourself open for what would be the decking material. Myself, I like pressure treated, that could be stained in a year, but I leave that to you on that one.
and the railings are gonna look like,
It would be 3 railings, 2x6s, and you'll have to excuse me for not knowing the distance, but it's all ADA regulations.
no, I'm just saying,
Oh.
we're more like, what's it look like? I realize it's a
just
ramp, and it's
2 by
never gonna
6.
look like an 1880 ramp, because there's
No,
no
it-
such thing, but we're just saying, what are the railings? The spindles, anything,
No,
just a straight
what-
railing?
What I was thinking was 2x6s as code.
Just simple.
Yes, very,
Kind of like matching the fence type of thing?
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and the one thing on the fence that, to make it look older sooner, is we would like to stain it weathered board at the same time that we put it up, so it immediately looks more 19th century than something stark. And that was something that we followed through when we did the roof 2 years ago, was to get one that was already of that color, that looked like it had weathered instead of looking like brand new cedar for 50 years.
So this was made, if the frame is made of pressure-treated lumber,
Yes,
it has to sit for a year before it can be stained or painted?
correct.
Okay. And then when it was painted, you paint it to match the house?
That doesn't match the house.
No, I
right?
know this-
That one, right?
yes.
But we could,
Color.
that would be no problem, and it would actually tie into my request of painting the exterior.
Right, that's why I asked, because you have a discussion about
Mhm.
identifying the house paint color as
Right.
well, so. I don't have a problem with pressure-treated wood on a thing like this, because this is.
in the back.
It's back,
It's in
and
the
it's not,
back.
it's not attempting to be a historical
No.
anything, it's
Functional.
functional, right.
With the
It's very
railings,
specific.
cedar?
Could I also ask regarding posts for that also?
Yeah,
Just
right.
because they would probably have.
As long as you're gonna paint
Because
it.
they, yeah,
Pine, you can paint it.
pine
Yeah.
would be fine there, because that's, right.
Nah,
Okay, so pine on the railings, but could the posts be pressure treated or just everything? In that regard?
my preference would be, the stuff you can see above would be pine.
Mhm.
The structure underneath, where you're gonna contact wet or things that aren't gonna be seen can be pressure treated.
Mhm.
So the deck would be,
I think the decks are pretty pressure treated.
I believe
Okay.
so. You wanted that, because
Right,
it's
you
gonna
want
take a
something that's
beating.
sturdy.
right, and
Yeah.
because the museum is closed basically from mid-October through the end of April, that is just hit with snow and
Yep,
ice.
yep,
Right,
standard
And not
decking,
kept.
yeah.
Right.
okay, thank you.
Any other comments on the ramp component? I guess the next
It's good to get
item.
something that's
Okay,
functional.
the next two are related, is due to the, we were able to receive a grant that's going to permit us to paint the exterior of the house. And it was done about probably 5 years ago, and I just will say it wasn't done well. And it's chipping, it's flaking, it should have sustained, the paint should have sustained itself for a lot longer. And so we're going to get it painted, and I don't know if that even fits under your purview here, but we are going to, part of the dollars is to get a historic paint analysis done. And now, one of the challenges is back in 1980, they replaced probably about 60% of the clapboards on the house and didn't keep any of the originals. So I've already highlighted everything that is new, so you will immediately eliminate those. But we would like to find out what might have been the 19th century colors. I can verify through a little research of mine, it is not bright orange. And some of these Victorian Queen Anne colors. The closest I've got right now, because I removed, and I am no authority, a 19th century door pull, it's like a linen white. It's not the stark white, which wasn't of the period because you didn't have them. We have other little vestiges that show it to be a very pale buttermilk. And that's what we would, I'm just bringing you up to date here, is that it might not be the stark white that everybody's used to. And the other ringer that's into it, and it will only be done if we can prove it, is Henry Delord wrote a letter to his daughter mentioning how to take care of the paint on the back of the house, and he recommended using red oxides.
Oh my.
And one reason for that, and it's been done in other properties, is that white was expensive, and that's what was there for public view. But then they would use the cheaper paints using turpentine and red iron, iron oxide, to do the back. I have no idea if we'll find that. I've come across one comment underneath our kitchen porch that said that there was dark barnboard red on the porch. And since then, somebody took the molding off. So, and that's what I want to bring you aware, is that, you know, this is a great educational time period about how to use research to tell history. But before we do that, we need to replace some of the clapboards that are, very interestingly enough, the clapboards that are deteriorating were the ones that were put up in 1980. As far as I can see from our photo archives, that they're pine, and that they were never primed on the back. And the sections that are occurring is where they were getting splashing from the roof, and a lot of water, just snow and ice laying against them. Well, since we put that new sustainable roof on, the snow slides right off, which was an attribute I never knew about until it actually happened.
A happy accident.
Right, and what I would ask for, if it's possible, and it's going to be painted, is if we can find the exact size, which we're going to do anyway, because there's different clapboards. We have to find wider ones and narrower ones depending on the situation. If we may use cedar instead of pine for longevity, because it's going to be painted. So that would be my request.
Any comments?
That's fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't have a problem with that at all.
Makes sense.
I like answers like that.
So, as we discussed, we don't regulate paint colors, so you're on your
Okay.
own with the paint.
No pink,
And
you're
you
fine.
only have to
You're
worry
fine with
about your
me.
membership in the garden club giving you a very.
But it's good to warn us, because if you end up painting half the house red because of that, we'll hear about it.
Well, it would be the back, but you know,
Yeah, I know.
I jump at the press on that and say,
Yeah.
this is how we're telling the story.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't have any further discussions or items. We do have a.
Let's do the seeker really
long-term
quick.
Seeker.
Hold on. Let's look at our answers.
On the present ramp, or the now deceased ramp, was simply on pavers. So there's not going to be any disturbance below it.
Question, page 13, question F. Is it located adjacent to or sensitive for archaeological site inventory? And I would say yes, because we had all those soldiers camped there, et cetera.
Yes.
But you're not, as you said, you're not disturbing anything new. You're gonna reuse your old post holes.
Yes.
You're not
The fence,
digging up the
yeah.
foundation or anything with this ramp.
Correct.
So nothing is gonna be touched that relates to archaeological site inventory. We don't need to worry about it.
Right.
Correct? Okay. So not relevant. Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we find no adverse environmental impact with this application regarding 17 Cumberland Avenue.
A second.
Second, John. Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Do I have a motion on the application?
I can take a shot at it. Make a motion to replace the existing ramp, wheelchair ramp, handicapped accessible ramp with pressure-treated wood ramp, pine decking, also.
Decking or
No.
railing?
Decking, what's
Railing.
that?
You said
Decking or
railing?
Decking is pressure treated.
Right, that, I thought I did say that. Pressure-treated decking, okay. Construction, replacement of the fencing, any fencing with board fencing as proposed, including cedar posts, pine boards. Replacement of the clapboards that are splitting and rotten in the newest boards that you do have on the building, which were put on in 1980, I guess you said, correct?
Yes.
The newer boards, the newer
Very
clapboards.
surprising when I started.
You replacing them with cedar, correct?
Yes, of
Yes.
the exact dimension.
Okay, and finally, painting the exterior of the home, whatever, yeah, with a white color of some
Historically
sort.
appropriate.
Historically appropriate.
Historically appropriate, I'm
No-
done with
no
that.
mention of white,
Okay,
yeah.
boss.
Okay.
She's a rough one.
I'll second on that one.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Appropriate colors.
Yes. Okay, and I'll see you again probably before the year's out about our shutters.
Thank you.
Okay.
Shutters, we don't do shutters, do we?
Okay, item number 5. This is
Down there.
planning board application number 2017-13, lot 23 of West Shore subdivision, west side of Main Road. We have a short form seeker. Subdivision request to subdivide lot into 2 single-family lots. Applicant is KLM Development. The plan developer is Scott Allen.
Jim, I'm going to recuse myself for this and the next.
Thank you.
Are you even gonna get up, Scott?
Scott, you
presented the
have the
project
floor.
last month.
Just
Had a few
asking.
minor comments that we addressed, we figured water and sewer laterals, all sorts of stuff. And, I think that was about it.
Is there anything to be done with the encroachments?
Actually, I'm not sure, because it's been before last month's meeting since I was out here last. But I know that the owner of the property is aware of it. It was intended
The
to
satellite
work
dish
beyond-
and the satellite dish and the fence?
The fence and the satellite dish that the owner is across the line.
And they've agreed to
Was
move,
across.
they're gonna move that?
I see no reason why they wouldn't. I think they just put it up unaware of where the exact location of the property line was.
Most time, yeah.
I don't know if it was on last month's plan or not, Scott, but it looks like you're proposing to move a section of the storm sewer that goes across diagonally.
It's already been moved,
It has been moved.
yes. Yeah, it was moved some years ago.
All. Then,
Okay,
question is moved.
Okay. Is this easement proposed then to Lake Country Village, or is that existing?
Where it says proposed easement, is this because it's a slightly older drawing?
Left side, just above the 44, right there.
Yeah, I'll follow up and make sure that if there has not been an easement granted to Lake Country, I'll make sure that we get it done before this property is, before either lot is sold. It's one owner right now, so I'll make sure that the attorney makes that conveyance to Lake Country Village before either lot is sold.
Okay, so essentially it's just an easement then, it's not,
Yeah, it would be an easement.
it's not,
Benefiting the upland owner.
okay. Okay.
Can we change the words that say storm sewer line to be abandoned? It could say storm sewer line
Is abandoned.
is abandoned.
No, do we know that though? Is it in place? Some people abandon things, but is it still in place or is it already removed?
It's disconnected from those
No, so it's in place.
It's
structures.
abandoned in place.
I guess ultimately, Scott, you don't find any issue with, as a condition, that you just clean all that up
Yep.
on the map, that it's,
Make it more accurate.
It's abandoned in place until the owner begins
Put your hash
Construction.
marks.
foundation construction,
Ah.
will really be abandoned.
Yeah, that's what we're waiting for. I was waiting for that.
Place your hash marks across that storm sanitary line,
Yeah.
or a storm line rather.
is any other comments or questions?
Other than cleaning up the language, no.
Okay. If not, we do have a short form seeker here. Do we have any comment or motion on the seeker?
I'll make a motion that we accept the seeker with no adverse effects.
Second.
Any further comment? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeker passes. Can I have a motion for the application?
I'll give it a whack. I'll make a motion to accept the application 2017-17. Lot 23, West Shore subdivision, west side of Main Road, with the condition of the proposed agreement, easement agreement be filed. Is that the correct way to say that?
Allowing to subdivide into 23A and 23B?
Yes.
Yes.
The only condition is that we have the easement, that proposed easement become an easement.
Yes.
I'll second.
Any further comment? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Agenda item number 6, this is planning board application number 2017-14, 38 Iowa Street. Short form seeker, it's a subdivision request to subdivide 2 parcels. 1 parcel to contain existing 6-unit apartment building, and second parcel to be subdivided into lots 8 and 9. Applicant is Mosul Properties, plan developer is Scott Allen.
Again, we presented last month, there were a few minor comments that we addressed. The comments were relatively the same with regard to water and sewer service laterals, and adding some ribbon and elevations on some of the sanitary structures. We've done that.
Scott, is, for clarification, what we're doing with this application is we're dividing phase 3 into phase 3, 4, and 5.
No,
3 and 4.
phase 3 was always phase 3. What we're doing, actually, the phases haven't changed. The phases are the same as what's shown in that map. The old phase 4 consisted of lots 4, 5, and 6.
And we're bringing them together.
4, 5, and 6, and 8, 9, and 10, okay? So what we're doing in phase 4 now is combining 4, 5, and 6.
Those are being merged into one tax
One
parcel?
lot.
Yeah.
And where there were 3 lots here previously, we're now only doing 2 lots.
Was that 3, was 8, 9, and 10 3 separate tax parcels
No,
at any one time?
nope.
And neither was
This
that?
parcel and this parcel, phase 4, have been one tax map parcel.
So actually, we're making one tax map parcel into 3 tax map parcels.
That's true, yes. Yes.
The original and 2 additional.
So Scott, the only new property line we're even looking at here is between 8 and 9.
Yes.
Proposed lots 8 and 9. Everything else is basically,
Same as the original master plan.
okay. Okay. Does the board have any other questions? Comments? If not, we do again have a short form seeker for consideration of the project.
I'd like to find that we find no adverse environmental impact in this short firm seeker regarding 38 Iowa Street application.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further comment? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Do I have a motion on the application?
So do we really only need to have the recognition in the motion of the lot line dividing 8 from 9?
Yeah.
Because do we need a motion that combines the lots in phase 4, or did that really already happen?
This is the first time you've seen phase 4s. When we got phase 3 approval, phase 4 was just remaining lands,
Okay,
okay? But since there was an interceding lot, phase 2, it was considered one tax map parcel. So at the end of the day, we'll have.
The link line went away.
Like I said, we'll have 3 tax map parcels. So there's no need to merge anything.
Because those 3 lots, 4, 5, and 6 were just,
Reestablished.
they were just master plan lots. They weren't subdivision lots.
Right.
so
we
we
don't
never
need that.
subdivided, and it doesn't need to be recombined in any way. It's
No.
one,
There's no combination
Yeah.
necessary.
okay.
No, there isn't.
If you're sure, we can always give you just two separate motions in this that will do that. Otherwise,
One tax map parcel.
okay. I'd like to make a motion that we allow the subdivision of what is shown on this map as phase 4 to the right, whatever, that used to be 8, 9, and 10, and is now going to be subdivided into only lot 8 and lot 9.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, John. Any further comment? If not, all in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Surveys.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Scott.
Application passes. Thank you.
Penny.
You wouldn't have had it for,
That was not one that right there, but I'm not making my motion with those two down there.
We're moving on to the final agenda item, number 7. This is Planning Board Application 2016-27 on Clive Estates, US Avenue, south of New York Road and Glens Falls Bank. This is site plan review. Proposed plan to construct 2 multifamily low-rise residential structures, 2 townhouse residential structures, and 2 garage structures, including associated driveway, parking, stormwater infrastructure, and utilities. The applicant is Easy Properties, and the plan developer is Loner, Maccabee, and ESPC.
Mostly ESPC.
Hey, Eric, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. First of all, I guess I'd like to just remind the board last month that the seeker had been approved. It was the long form. We don't need to rehash any of that, but we're past that. That allowed the project to be presented before the zoning board of appeals. There was one item in the zoning regulations, 3 aspects to that one item in which a variance was required. And last Monday night, the zoning board of appeals did approve that variance for. I'm going to try to remember what the items were. It's number of dwelling units on a property, the number of principal structures, and the fact that we have 2 accessory structures, both of which are garages, and only one is allowed. That has now been approved by the zoning board. So here is the site plan. I think, Jody, if you wouldn't mind scrolling to the next one, to 201. There we go. So this shows a little bit more detail as far as what's going on with the site design. We've been before this for a number of times as we kind of worked our way through the seeker process. So hopefully this doesn't look too unfamiliar to you folks. I guess there's just one on the board who hasn't seen this yet. But basically the design remains about the same. There's a 1-bedroom, a 16-unit, 1-bedroom garden flats, a 16-unit, 2-bedroom garden flats, and those are the 2 primary structures in the center. On the north side is the townhouse, 2-bedroom townhouse, 8 units, and on the south end is 1 building structure representing 3-bedroom townhouse. Those are 6 units. So that's a total of 46 dwelling units on the site. The site is laid out with 1 access to the road. That's done for access management. We've got about 200 or 250 feet to the nearest driveway, which is Glens Falls. We've kind of worked, through comments from the board and from Kevin's office in order to kind of come up with this configuration that's there now. The traffic flow here has been, directed to try to keep it as efficient as possible while controlling that access. And the pedestrian flow is quite well defined and indicated via sidewalks, crosswalks, and ADA ramps have now been added in all the areas needed in order to ensure accessibility requirements as well as to the building. One piece of information that we hadn't reported previously, I don't think it's in the application, but if this does come up, looking at the ITE manual for traffic, the estimates are for 46 dwelling units for apartment housing, that weekday morning peak hour is 26 trip ends, weekday afternoon peak hour is 31 trip ends, and the weekend peak hour is 24 trip ends, and that's with a average annual daily traffic of about 3,570 on US Avenue in that section. And if you do look at the DOT data that's available, it actually reports it as 11,324, but that's because they measured north of the circle about half a mile and then extended that count all the way to the town line. So that 3570 count is what happens just south of the property. So that's more representative of what we would find at this site. Considering that, you know, the one traffic entrance is adequate and actually preferred in order to provide that better traffic management, access management. As far as utilities go, we had talked previously in other presentations about the water system that's there. There's existing infrastructure throughout the entire site. That is all to be abandoned after coordinating with Public Works and determining that there is no beyond users within there. It's asbestos pipe. It's old. It's not feasible to reuse it, so it's all to be abandoned. And sorry, I forgot my laser pointer. The new current configuration then is to access the city main in 2 locations along US Avenue. So there will be a loop generated at that easternmost edge of the property, and then we'll pull off of that loop to the various buildings. And it'll take the shortest route to the eastern sides of the building. That's where the sprinkler rooms are. And so that'll kind of clean up that utility. As far as wastewater goes, there's no wastewater access on US 2. It's all pressure pipe. Look at that.
This button or this button, the arrow.
There's the arrow. All right. I'll do my best. That looks pretty. All right. Thank you. So what we have, so up on US Avenue, it's pressure sewers, so there's really not an opportunity to provide sewer access on the property, but in purchasing the property, an easement has been secured that extends over to New York Avenue to a gravity sewer manhole, so that the site can obtain sewer access that way. And what will happen is all 4 buildings will drain through a sewer main that travels to the north to this sewer pump station. And it's a duplex system with, I think it's a 1 full day storage capacity.
In case the power goes out, is what you mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's a reasonable standard in this type of an environment. And we have, what was not included in this application, are 3 pages of details that have now been completed, and we do have, you know, all the details regarding this pump station if the board so wishes to take a look at that. Otherwise, I would expect that it would hopefully be sufficient for Kevin's office to review it, and that we would have potentially a decision tonight contingent on that review. As far as stormwater goes, in past submittals, we've estimated what we thought might be needed. This represents exactly what is required in order to meet New York State stormwater requirements for during construction and post-construction. And what it consists of is the eastern portion of the property draining to an infiltration basin at the southeast corner of the property with an overflow structure traveling down to the south west corner of the property. The rest of the stormwater generated from the new site would flow through surface flow and through subsurface flow to a pocket pond, and then it would discharge through an existing ditch that then extends. This is unique here. It extends off the southwest corner of the property. There's an existing ditch there now with a 36-inch culvert that picks it up at the other end of the property on the south end of this one, with a head wall heading underneath that residential subdivision that's there. So we are capturing and reducing and re-emitting that flow to that existing ditch in a manner so that it doesn't increase the flows downstream in any more than existing conditions. But coming back to that ditch, right here, there's an existing open ditch that flows through the property, and flowing into that ditch are stormwater outfalls from the Glens Falls stormwater treatment practice and further up gradient. I believe there's some parts of the Skyway Plaza that might still flow into that. So that needs to be captured and carried through the property, as well as a stormwater pipe that
No,
comes
that
in
doesn't,
from.
that doesn't get any of Skyway anymore.
Okay.
It's only from Glens Falls.
Yeah, so,
Skyway
okay.
all goes into Route 9.
I was aware that most, if not all, of that previous stormwater flow from Skyway has been redirected.
Well, that's true, it does all, or at least most of all goes into Route 9, but there's an overflow weir, so that during very high flow conditions, it still overflows through.
Into the
Yeah.
into the Glens Falls pond?
Not into the pond, but into the ditch. And so it still is set up to carry, the ditch is still set up to carry that flow.
In a 100-year flood?
I don't know where that kickover point is to, you know, or how frequently it trips. Normal rain events, it will go to Route 9, but when that was designed, the Route 9 system could not be demonstrated to be capable of all of the high flow events, so it was left as an overflow situation. So there's an overflow weir there. So
Well, they're still covered with the these 36-inch, they're still covered.
Is that the Dunkin' Donuts
0.5%.
overflow?
yeah.
Yeah, we're continuing with the same size pipe that enters the property and exits
That
the
makes sense.
downgrade property. But recognizing that there's the outflow from the Glens Falls, there's the potential overflow from Route 9, and then there's one other, there's another pipe here that comes from the vicinity of the hospital parking lot that I believe Public Works was they just weren't able to determine exactly what the source was, so we're catching that, and we're carrying it through the property. There's one other pipe that comes onto the property from kind of the direction of the roundabout, but that by Public Works is determined to be defunct, so we're going to abandon that one. But so these other two pass-throughs will be caught, and they will run a straight shot through the property and continue straight through, not intermingling at all with the flow in the pocket pond, but merely passing in a pipe under this berm that separates the forebay from the pocket pond itself. And then there will need to be a structure here that's going to serve as kind of combining those flows from on-site and pass-through stormwater.
That structure there has a lot of work to do.
Yes. Yes, however, you must agree that it's a better scenario than
It's
what
a
we
much better
envisioned,
scenario.
putting it around that
Yeah.
pocket pond there with all those 90 degrees. Fortunately, we were able to get the elevations to work, that the 36-inch pipe will fit in that berm. And then we've got stone on the back side of that berm to make sure that that remains covered. So all of, this stormwater design has been modeled. It meets the 1, 10, and 100-year storm requirements by the New York State requirements. We are literally in the process of pulling it all together. This has been kind of a ongoing process, but we wanted to make sure that we met the technical requirements of the state stormwater rules. And we know that this system will meet that. If that does get challenged for some reason that requires a modification to the site plan, obviously we'll have to deal with that. But we're confident that our engineers have really fully designed and vetted that. It's just a matter of pulling together the last pieces and parts that I expect to be done before the end of this week. And then finally, there is a landscape plan that was submitted that specifically identifies what plantings will be identified for the site. It probably shows up on the site plan and on the landscaping plan. Bike racks, picnic tables, the mailboxes for the units. There's a series of recreational features that are identified on the western edge of the property. We had kind of talked a little bit about those details with the board in the past, but all the final details are provided in this submittal.
Yeah, you can scroll. Can I ask you a question about the landscape plan before you go on to floor plans? Across the frontage of the property that borders the street, is that just sod? Is it just gonna be grass between the outside parking lots where the entrance is and the highway?
I believe that there were some plantings identified there. Let me just get to that.
There's not, I can see.
Yeah, I don't see
No.
it.
Architectural background there.
Yeah, 'cause I was gonna ask for the same thing, plantings, like trees there.
On the
Okay, yeah,
sides?
this is-
I wouldn't
this
go
is-
bushes,
detail.
yeah.
This is shown as lawn right here, and then there are trees between
Oh, yeah.
the building and the driveway.
Right, but there's no trees between the street and the driveway.
Correct me if I'm wrong, was that, we were looking at the stonework we're gonna put there, correct? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so there's a stone,
They're bars.
Sign?
sign on either.
Has to bring that up on the flash.
Here we go.
Yeah, great.
It says sign,
Rather
one
than
here,
the
Oh,
nice
okay.
tan round ones?
and here, now there's two
Okay.
different signs, right? One's a sign and one's just a.
One's the sign, one's the stone entrance.
To
The
keep
right,
cars
the
from
right
driving
side of that driveway entrance to Route 9 has room between Route 9 and the curb for the parking area that would support trees in that area. You know what I mean? Just that, you don't have that width of room available towards the left of that entrance driveway. There just isn't. As you mentioned, you gotta have somewhere to put the snow, so that would get beat up pretty bad in there, but,
Well, the snow has to go on that side or the
yeah,
ends, so.
yeah. So
Be-
perhaps.
Because you're too close to the building.
Yeah,
on
I
the
mean,
upper
if I
side.
had my druthers, you can throw some
Yeah.
trees in there, that would look good.
Joe, can you bring up the alternate?
Is that what is,
You're taking control.
Yeah, I looked at the same thing too.
yeah,
Yeah,
you see what I mean?
Because the comment of the planning board was, you're such an open field. I said, yeah, it is open, the back 1/3
Yeah.
is woods and stuff, but everybody sees a big open field.
Yeah.
Well, you won't see the
It
back once
says,
you got buildings.
alternate landscape. So we
Yeah,
did,
anticipate.
Ah, see, you got it there, there you go, yeah.
early riser, we went over it and so forth.
Yeah.
We added 17 trees along the front,
I like that.
What
front and
is,
also in front of the.
What
Can we get it any bigger
do you
so
know
that
what
we
the
can
species
see
is?
what's
of
there?
trees?
Put on your glasses.
Yeah, they're on here. They're
Put
in
on your
the,
glass,
they're in the schedule.
what a wise guy.
Well, I can't see on that thing what the.
Oh,
what
oh, that
those
one there.
are.
The
I know
newly
they
added
are
trees, we
on
can't
the
tell what they are.
front.
Get outside with the tree, I gotta do some tree to get going.
I like the alternate a lot better.
Yeah, I like those in the front there. I don't think you really can do it over on the other side, you just don't have enough room. But certainly to the right of the driveway, to the south of the driveway.
Pink and green, they're pink and green trees.
Yeah, they're,
All right, I'm
they're-
done.
they're the locals, okay.
Okay.
I just wanted to know what
That's
So
those
the
were.
ones
the golden
after I
locust,
met after the
okay.
planning
Throw some
board,
trees in there,
zoning
man.
board meeting.
Yeah, he had a plan. He knew what he was gonna do, yeah. You knew.
That will make a
To
big
break it up,
difference.
because
To
the
Yeah,
break it
comment
up.
was
yeah,
it's
yeah,
an
yeah.
open field. And I said, yeah, you're right,
Yeah.
it is an open field.
Well, it matches the other side of the road.
Trouble,
more or
his
less.
head is beginning to pitch.
It won't make any trees.
Yeah. Hey, whatever you, whatever.
Kinda like the pink.
Yeah, that works.
So, I think that's most of the details I have to present. Are there any other questions?
Did you say, water lines, I'm sorry?
No.
All water lines, existing ACM pipe gonna be buried in place?
Correct.
Okay. You're probably gonna hit some, so you know you're gonna have to handle it with care.
Yeah, I mean, that'll have to be dealt with if it is.
You know what I mean?
The height, the water.
If you hit the transit pipe during
ACM, yeah,
construction.
stop the job, secure, cover
The
it,
idea
place on
that-
plastic cover, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, you, that's tricky stuff.
Whoever does the sides.
I hope so. Some of these contractors, they move like a dog. They don't wanna stop for nothing.
Well, there's gonna need to be
It'll be in your
some
pickup truck.
disturbance at the very least to cap
Yeah.
the existing.
You know what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I do, but fortunately, the site's gonna be built up. A fair
Yeah,
amount,
you're
so
bringing a
which
lot of
will
fill.
reduce
Site,
the
yeah.
likelihood of encountering it,
Encountering
but like you said.
Yeah.
The
Just be aware of it.
The deep item is the pump station will be about 10 feet deep.
Yeah. Eric knows about what I'm talking about, though.
Oh,
He can advise accordingly, yes.
Next to buildings.
Anybody that's worked in the base knows what you're talking about.
A lot of
We usually
ATM
run
pipe
out
It could
everywhere.
be this tiny little.
Yeah, I know.
These little dots.
Your,
Yeah. Yeah.
so your plan detail sheets, which are about 4 of them, C301, C401, 402, and 403, those are under development?
No, they're right here.
Okay.
Is there a detail on the architectural rock?
They were not available at the time that this was, so I do apologize for that. And obviously, it's not very clear to ask you to review these right now, but I really just wanted to show you that they are here.
So the answer to that question would be no.
And this includes, pavement section, stormwater structures, the pump station, details and specifications, buried utilities, curbs, erosion control. The only thing that we don't have on here are the stormwater treatment practice cross sections, which would be included in the SWIP.
And the head wall at the discharge,
That is shown as, I think we represent that as a block wall, not a poured concrete wall.
yeah, precast concrete block.
Precast concrete block.
I don't see it.
Yes,
Is it detailed somewhere though?
That does not have a detail on those sheets, but that is certainly something that we could provide in short order.
It seems like that's awful close to the property line. Do you have room on the other side of that to?
Well, actually, what our recommendation was gonna be to Ed, to see if he could talk to that landowner to see if they could get permission to smooth it out, because it wouldn't require a whole lot of impact to that property to make those slopes work, but we wanted to at least show in here worst-case scenario, in order to, if that's not granted, a block structure like this.
Like a temporary grading release from the neighbor?
Yeah, just to blend the new, site contours and allow, room for the pipe to transition to the ditch.
So what would that transition include? What would you just put a flared end section or some combination with some stone protection?
If it's without the block wall, exactly, just a flared end section and stone, riprap on the steeper sections until it transitions to whatever's existing.
And if you did have a block wall, then what?
Then it would be, I can imagine it would just be a pipe terminus into the ditch. I mean, if we can't, modify that next property, then, we'd wanna at least put some minimal, scour protection in there to prevent erosion. But, other than that, it's kind of a pass-through from, existing flows. But certainly, that's certainly something that we'd be open to any other comments or concerns as far as a minor detail to address that.
Yeah, well, it seems fine the way you described that with the stone and transitioning, but if you're talking about just a 36-inch diameter pipe discharge, then it seems like that would be a scour point right there.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, I mean, that would have to be addressed with,
Yeah.
riprap, I mean, the landowner there would hopefully understand that it's to their benefit, to do that.
Yeah.
And if, I mean, if it comes to it, we'll have to back it off, somewhere with
Ideally, it would,
some-
because if you do a temporary grading release, if over time that gets scoured and you need to
Right.
dress it up a little or do maintenance on it, then it sounds like you're kind of asking the adjacent property owner to take maintenance responsibility of that.
I wouldn't, I guess that's, that wouldn't be the intention,
I
certainly
mean, if it's
not.
on
I
their
mean, that-
property, right?
Right, there could be an agreement potentially, to mean that, easy properties would be responsible for any future erosion caused by that.
Yeah. Sure, I think probably the best way to keep that, the simplest way is to either keep those erosion controls on your own property.
Right.
Or, as you're suggesting, maybe have some type of formal agreement in place with an adjacent property owner where it's.
Ideally, if we can make the grades work without the wall, it would be, I think, better on both sides, but that detail has to be worked out with that landowner.
I guess back to plan sheet, so C301 in this case is under progress, or in progress. Which would be detailed grading.
Yeah, all that really is, I mean, that's not gonna be any new information. It is mostly layout information for the contractor. I mean, that's gonna be, spot elevations throughout the entire site, tiebacks for critical locations, things like that. It's not gonna be any change in the design whatsoever. It's just gonna provide more information for laying out by the contractor more than anything.
Okay.
Import and placement of fill.
Right, and the grading plan that is shown has that information on it. It's just that the sheet 301, we tend to provide a lot more detail, so that the contractor can pretty much just use that
That's what I
to
was thinking,
construct.
right.
But there's no change in the design.
No.
Sheet 201 has the existing and the proposed grades.
Right.
And those are pretty much final as far as we're concerned.
Will you also have an erosion and sediment control plan, so I'm assuming it'll go along with.
Correct. There are some erosion control details in the plans that I handed out.
That's good, right there.
but
Oh, come
obviously
back,
those-
right there.
Okay.
Those will be expanded to include all of the requirements in the stormwater management plan.
Is your stormwater management plan in final form, or is that still?
It's on its way. I mean, literally, we've cranked through all the numbers, we've made sure that everything works, and it's a matter of constructing the document. We were focusing on these details late last week and today. With the expectation that we really needed to make sure that we were squared away with the public, with the city infrastructure details, but with the confidence knowing that we've got the stormwater figured out, and that's the state's jurisdiction, really. So we wanted to make sure that we were going to meet those requirements so that it won't change the site design in any way as a result of whether the state challenges it or someone else wants to try to challenge whether or not that meets standards. I mean, if that happens, then we're gonna have to deal with that.
Well, just to be clear, the stormwater management plan is part of the site plan review,
Okay.
as well as the
And,
EMS control.
I mean, it's been, sorry for not being before the city of Plattsburgh in this capacity before, but it has been my experience in most other jurisdictions that that's the type of thing that it's understood that there's a standard to which we need to meet. And we will meet that standard, and we're fully willing to review that, and my hope would be that the board could approve the concept of the site plan, and we could work out with staff the details on whether or not it meets that standard.
I think the biggest key is in most applications I've seen in front of this board, we've got the final plan in front of us for review at the time of application. That's the biggest difference between
Okay.
what you're proposing
And
what
that,
we've
I mean,
accomplished.
that wasn't clear in the application materials, and like I said, in you know, many other towns and counties that we've gone before as far as, you know, site plan review goes. When it is another jurisdiction's ultimate responsibility, it's understood that that's something that has to be met, but you know, that board would not withhold its decision until, you know, having that final piece of the puzzle determined. Knowing, you know, the shovel can't hit the ground until all the state requirements are met.
Mm-hmm. Once again, maybe one difference that you see here.
Sure.
With applications here. One question I had, another question I had in terms of stormwater, which I know was asked at last meeting, was the infiltration component of it.
Yep.
How did you work out with the soils and the infiltration?
So we conducted percolation tests last fall. We did infiltration tests last week to confirm those results. And I haven't re-reviewed those numbers, but it meets all the requirements for that infiltration practice.
Okay. Okay, I'm assuming you'll come back with further detail.
It'll all be in the SWIP. Like all the raw data for the infiltration tests, as well as the calculations associated with how this demonstrates the water quality volume and meeting the storm requirement.
Okay. I guess staying with the stormwater, I noticed that there's a number of easements that are to be maintained.
Yes.
And a number of easements that are to be abandoned.
Well, that seems to be the cleanest way to deal with it. And we've talked about this conceptually at some of the other meetings. The second plan that is submitted is Mark McAbee's site plan, which shows the existing easements, and there's quite a few of them crisscrossing the property. From the stormwater here, from this line right here, that actually extends, you know, all the way up to here now. And then there's this stormwater pipe that the city has determined can be abandoned now. So, you know, we were thinking that what would make the most sense is to establish this easement that's shown right here, and it actually extends, well, it comes, sorry about all these lines here. We could provide a cleaner easement map on its own if needed, but it is shown on here as an easement that is 20 feet or 30 feet. Stormwater utility easement, all of the utility easements on property are all
30.
So it's 30 feet.
30 feet.
And that extends all the way to the edge of the property here. So that would be the one conveyance that remains in order to ensure that that stormwater pass-through maintains through the property. But since the water lines and the other stormwater lines were to be abandoned, it seemed to make sense to clean that up.
Okay, I do think a proposed easement map would be helpful in your final package, just to clarify these different things. Now, in terms of the infrastructure, if you can just clarify, is this infrastructure all going to be owned by the developer after this?
With the exception of that pass-through pipe, I guess. I mean, that's city infrastructure now. It'll be built new, and quite frankly, in much improved condition than what's there now. But then I would see that turn over to city property.
So does the city own all this? Does the city own all this?
We have the ditch is basically a city easement.
So is the closed piping, is that all the cities now?
On the Glens Falls Bank, you mean?
No, on this property. All the stuff that's being rerouted and
Well,
abandoned,
like
is
the
that-
one, for example, that's being abandoned is fine, because if you, you probably recall, it's already, that portion that's on Glens Falls Bank is already abandoned. And, it's shown on those site plans and was abandoned. That one's fine, and this one that's remaining is also a city easement that you mentioned, the one that comes from the base hospital area, and we talked about preserving that. So that's basically, that and the ditch itself is the city easement.
Okay. Okay. So the city will accept the easement for long-term maintenance?
Yes, I believe so, I mean, provided obviously, you know, it's built to standard and such, you know, then it can be conveyed in the city easement.
Okay. Okay. Do we have final sort of review and acceptance from Public Works?
We did, Public Works did review that, they did not take issue with that particular easement, but I think they did ask, though, they mentioned the easement. And asked that the easement, asked for an easement to convey the new stormwater easement from the developer to the city of Plattsburgh. So it's basically the same thing that we're saying right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the feedback that I received was that, you know, we were trying to find out, well, what do you want? And the response was essentially like, show us, and, you know, and we'll, you know, accept if we accept it, rather than try to work with Public Works on which ones can we close, which ones should we keep. You know, based on the feedback from Public Works, we came up with a plan that, you know, once they approve it, that's what we'll go with.
Okay. Other than that, stormwater, I noted a couple different markup items in terms of like pipe size and that type of stuff. Probably you can clean up in your final. They conflict a little bit on the western property line. But
Okay. Well, we'd be happy to see that feedback.
sure. The water line easement, that's to be abandoned in full, I guess, across the property.
Yeah, they-
Just abandoned.
When I met with Public
water
Works
line.
out there, we did the infiltration things, and also looked at all the everything, they said, don't touch that line. It's dead already, just leave it alone.
Okay.
That's what.
Easement for your sewer. It says there's a proposed sanitary sewer easement.
Right.
On the survey, yes.
And it's,
One that's included, site plan, extent farm, sheet 403 shows the full easement, you know, which, manhole we're talking about, New York Avenue.
Who is that easement?
Park.
From it's Park?
And it's been executed, I believe, hasn't it?
Okay.
It's a park, yes.
Yeah, it has been executed. I mean, we did finish
Yeah,
that,
it's
right? Yeah, that's not a proposed easement anymore, that's an existing.
So you can refer to it as final now.
We
Oh, yeah, right.
Or, I apologize, Mark can update that one.
Yeah, we should have known that though, because I knew that it had been acquired.
Okay. Any other comments or questions?
I have one silly question, just a clarification. Northeast corner of the parking lot, just southeast of the pump station, there's a hatched area coming off the curb line. I imagine that's a driveway for maintenance?
It's just a gravel access road.
It's a gravel,
What were you planning for you got two dumpsters on the property, you got enclosures for them. What were you looking at putting around that? I mean, I'm looking.
The same materials that we're putting on the buildings.
Oh, okay, all right.
Inside, forget what we put on the inside.
Say to match the garage
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay,
with the siding, not with all the doors.
okay.
who's gonna pick the architectural rocks that you,
I don't know, red limestone, maybe that.
I would, yeah. of the,
That's what we put on the building, so
Yeah.
if we have to, we'll go to the floor and get some
Sure.
chunks. Even if they're rectangles, we'll find.
Can we get a detail on this?
Yeah. Big enough to stop a car.
yeah, the big ones out there.
Seriously, right?
Yeah.
You were right. You know, I give it to you.
I'm so. Mr. Funny Man.
Big enough to be noticed and big enough to stop a car.
I had a question in regards to the playground structures and picnic locations. Any specific reason that location? For the, looks like the tetherball court and the swing set.
Because of the access for everybody. It's not outside their doors or the windows or the patios, so it's off to the side, so it doesn't bother the other tenants.
What were you thinking of?
I'm not necessarily dictating the location, I'm just more concerned with it being in the back of the property. I think Christie had brought up that it borders right on
Commercial property. And the kids have to go through traffic to get to it. But Ed's point, the kids in the far buildings from the north and the south would have to come to the center to get to it too, so 6 of one, half dozen.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
And
Yeah,
there-
exactly.
There
Yeah.
is, I mean, there are
I mean,
plantings there
I
too.
see
to
his
help
point,
The
but
boundary.
I think with noisiness, because
No, I agree. I'm agreeing with
It
you.
should be back.
You're away from Route 9, you're away from all the other traffic. Yeah, you gotta cross some of the drive areas, the driveways to get there, but
Well, and these
pick your
are,
evil.
We have speed bumps there too.
these are removable speed bumps here.
Yeah.
And, I mean, this is designed.
That
this
is.
The concept is, you know, like your neighborhood, where they just throw
Yeah.
a hoop out in the road, and
Yeah.
they play in the road.
If not
without
there,
having cars
where?
going by.
You know, I guess that's
no,
the
I'm
point.
not.
Yeah, there's no other way.
If I had a concern, it would be that you're causing a liability
Yeah.
to the business
Yeah,
next door.
that'd be good. Hit 'em with the
They're
bat.
not there yet, so it's not a problem right now.
And we can make them put up a fence.
Somebody's gonna have to put one up.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you're abutting a residential against a B2 property.
Right.
When I thought about it, I looked at what was approved for Glens Falls Bank and also for Lewis Heights, and neither of them had a public fence. So I was figuring, why do I have to put up the fence?
There's nothing there now.
No.
Plus, it's accessible from New York Avenue all over the place, and then the other
Yeah.
sign hedging thing is not a fence, it's not a fence that keeps people from walking through it. The only fence that's there is from that to Lake Country Village, the old basin fence.
The one thing I would say about that is that it might be worth considering fencing just that recreational area. Because if you're
Fence across that one
supervising,
section.
if you're supervising children, to have an access where somebody can come in from behind.
In a remote
In a
location.
location that's
I
away
get what
from
you're saying
other
now,
people's
yeah.
eyes.
Protective
that-
of your clientele.
of
So
your
even
children.
if it's from parking area to parking area, across that, from grass,
Yeah.
corner of curb to corner of curb,
Right.
Are you talking like a chain link, a 4-foot type of thing, or?
a 10-foot with constitutional wire on the top of it. It could look like a stop-up.
Something that stops somebody from coming
Dan
in
Moore.
and snatching somebody and going out the back.
That's a,
I think if
Chain
you're
link?
looking at it from that perspective, you'd almost have to do the whole property, because you could just go around the fence too.
Well, you can, but if you're a
Making
parent
it hard.
supervising somebody you might be doing something not where they are, but where you can see them. The other question I have is, I don't see it anyplace, but are you hopefully planning on putting pedestrian cross-hatching from where those sidewalks come together to cross the road to that play area?
Oh, I see, yeah.
you see where the sidewalks come together between the two handicap spaces.
Right.
Continue that crosshatch right across.
Right
Yeah.
across.
At least you're making an attempt to say, this is where you're supposed to
It's
cross.
pretty important because it helps remind people to slow down if you crosshatch across the pavement.
Are you talking about right here?
Yep.
All the way.
Bring it all the way.
Yep.
Bring that
You
chevron
might
all the way
not
across.
wanna, I don't know if you wanna use exactly the same cross-hatching, because that is handicap.
Well, no, it would be
accessible.
narrower for
Right,
the,
but-
for the crosswalk.
So there's a path of.
Right.
At least you're making an
pedestrian
attempt to say this is where you should be crossing.
It's not a curb on the far side, right, Eric?
Correct.
But that is a curb on the
Wait.
but
Correct, no curb on the far side, but there is curb against the, sidewalk.
okay. I just didn't wanna
So
have
you-
you put a walkway into a curved,
No.
you know, that.
Do you, is there a curb in this recreational area?
No.
No.
That's where you're saying there's no curb.
No curb.
Okay.
Right.
So that's,
So accessibility is an issue for,
no, that's fine.
Any other comments or questions for the applicant? If not, do we feel we have enough information for a motion on the application?
I have enough.
I feel good about it, but I think if we do a motion, there's gonna be a lot of little things that are gonna go in
Contingencies.
there. You know, like the one thing, that the plan drawing showing the trees along Route 9, yeah, that plan combined with this plan now. You know, it's
And the
basic, yeah.
color, color, we don't have color, we don't have color.
I thought we submitted them in color.
Well, we don't, this package doesn't have color. What is the color?
The architecturals have color, they look good.
Are they colored or sort of?
They're
they're still
colored.
plain?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's all right.
I like the architecturals.
Well, the trees, but you could, you
Basically do
could
it kind of
submit
all
that.
green then.
Right,
Right?
it'd be nice. Just
I know.
clear it up.
I know.
Boxwoods right here.
I can't remember 1, 2, 3 of
These
them.
are,
Yeah, it's
these are
kind of,
evergreen boxwoods. I wouldn't want to be that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. I would not volunteer to be this boxwood.
The biggest one is, is Kevin. Is Kevin gonna be all right doing
No, it's
that?
not.
You know?
It is color on my
Because he hasn't
computer.
had it done by now.
Yeah, well, it's up to the
it's like having a black and white
too.
TV.
I think it is in color, it's just the projection.
Either way, I don't,
Yeah. We prefer to bring it here though. Alright.
you know, it's up to,
Yeah, these are colors.
Well, do you have your color names written down so that we could just,
That's that red, I mean, it's just the
Write it
printer
in the
went up,
record.
the red with the different
You know what I
colors.
mean?
Yeah, they're on the things here.
the burgundy,
The
finished
doors
steel?
are included. And then the gray, the slate gray, I think, and a charcoal gray, and a, something else gray. Get on my head.
It's the same colors you had when you brought the
Yes.
materials in last week.
Right, yeah.
No,
I think what I-
I'll take one.
Yeah, granite gray, sterling gray,
Okay, sterling gray by,
charcoal gray.
is there a maker there that makes sterling gray?
Say that again?
Who's the maker of the,
Certainty.
Certainty.
That's the only colors I know.
Certainty brand, sterling gray, charcoal gray.
well, the last meeting he brought in all
And the roof is shake.
the, I did too.
Pinnacle, green, black.
Huh?
Tell me that's color.
Yeah, the printer
Yeah.
didn't print them justice.
Apparently.
But when he brought the materials in,
Yeah,
you could tell the difference.
The motion, you gotta reiterate it.
And did you have the door maker?
Like 4 or 5 minimum, yeah. I don't know. I couldn't keep up with you, you were gone, I took a nap.
Off the top of my head, I don't remember. True.
Thermatruth?
Thermatruth, yeah.
Thermatruth.
Have any questions?
Oh.
I just came as a resident. Can I ask some questions or get some clarification on this?
We open the public comment?
I thought this was
Sure.
open to the public.
Sure.
My name is Mr. Shimura, and
Mr. what?
Shimura.
Okay,
Chmura.
right, you've been here before.
One time.
Yeah.
And is it a fait accompli that this was advertised as a 24-unit apartment complex? Is it 46 now, already approved?
There was never 24 that I know of, no.
I
No.
thought the original plan was that there was a certain amount of acres there, and it was established for 24 units.
I think perhaps it might be that it's more than 24 units. I think one of your variances is for more than 24 units on the parcel.
So the variance has been approved for 46.
By the zoning board
By the zoning board.
already.
24 is the maximum allowed without a variance on a single lot.
And did they do an impact study on the amount of watershed with that, with all the roofing and tarmac, et cetera, on how that impacts the environment?
Well, that's one of the things that is being reviewed now, and that's one of the questions that came up, the questions.
I noticed that.
Yeah, about, and that's, Eric's telling us that's something that he's still working on.
Okay.
Well-
But they do have to do a full stormwater pollution plan and erosion and sediment plan, that's standard, stuff.
The other thing is water and sewer. The tenants, I live in the Lake Country Village, and 30% are snowbirds. On the Oval, probably 50% are snowbirds. So the impact is minimized, and the tall pines seem to be running the same way. What would the impact be for water and sewer here? We have a huge runoff every time we have major rainfalls. With the sky-high manhole covers. So we have a lot, and also our beach suffers because of that. Same thing happens down around in Lake George as well as on Champlain. So the tenant, the occupancy, what is that projected as?
You mean how many people?
Well, I can see there are people here, but will they be snowbirds or are they full-year occupants, workers? And that has an impact on also traffic flow as well.
Yeah.
We only have 4 arteries in the city, and they're really getting impacted. Ruder Street is packed, Route 3 is stuffed, Route 9 is heavy, 22B, Military Turnpike, I bicycle every one of those pikes, and it's bad during rush hour. I don't know if the planning board approved the Latinville project across from the National Guard. Everybody there has to pull in, back out. Garbage trucks go there, busing and everything, and it really jams that whole corridor up. Route 9 is a major artery into the city. So I see it as potentially like 100, 120 cars, in and out of that.
Could you describe the end trips again?
Certainly. So first of all, the traffic flows, water flows, wastewater flows are all based on full-time occupancy through the year. So it's a worst-case scenario. And based on the Institute of Transportation Engineers for an apartment complex with 46 dwelling units, the weekend morning peak hour trip ends are 26. The weekday afternoon peak hour trip ends are 31, and the weekend peak hour trip ends are 24.
What's a trip?
That is a trip to and from the site in an hour, or that many in an hour, that many trips in one direction. I'm sorry, not to and from.
So in other words, 26 people leaving or 26 people coming, or a combination of either
So
one?
every 2.5 minutes.
Somebody would be leaving or coming.
Right.
Is that adjacent to the Lake Country Village?
No.
The what now?
The effluent where your catch basins are?
Storm.
Storm.
Oh,
South.
you mean
you
the pump
southwest
station?
Catch basin.
Bring up 201 again.
It's,
You got a 3-foot
it's in
pipe.
that direction, but it's not adjacent to you now.
If- Eric, maybe you could just point to where the existing ditch is and where your proposed discharge is
Yeah,
going to
sure.
be?
So there's an existing ditch that receives stormwater flow from these pipes here, and it flows across the property. So, you know, when you're looking at it from the road, this is about where some of the brush starts around that ditch. And it comes to this corner of the property and then extends across the property to the south. And so what we'll be doing is discharging to that same place. So it's really not going to, it's not going to alter the flows from the site and what exists.
That would be adjacent to what property there?
There's another property between that outflow and the fence north of Lake Country Village. There's another property.
That is 5 acres from there over.
Yeah.
This is, what's that street?
Lewis Heights.
Lewis Heights.
Thank you.
It's the option parcel, we call it, that Mr. Lattenville bought. Not being developed at the moment.
And then that ditch then flows into a 36-inch culvert that's kind of like right at a fence right before.
Right, that's
it goes
correct.
underneath
That's
the
correct.
adjacent development there.
We gotten all your questions, you think?
I asked the questions, I just was looking at the future. I've been here about 15 years, and in that time period, I've also traveled to different urban areas. There's been a major change in traffic flow in the city. Route 3, demonstrably different. Uber, all the big trucks used to come in the back of those block buildings, they have a hell of a time getting in there. And we live on those services that they provide, all the big trucks. The other thing is, people are not going to brick and mortar anymore. I've seen an increase in, and I would suspect that people right here would see the increase in FedEx, UPS, and next thing would be grocery deliveries. So the impact of traffic is a major concern here. And like I said, I move on all these streets here, and I've seen them, Boynton, Ruger, 3, I hope I'm not illuminating you, I think you should know that. And that particular road, I thought it was a mistake with Lattimore development out there. Plus we have now potentially South Peru, we have South Peru, and then we have the other development going in on New York. It's going to be a major increase of traffic. And I hear the beach closes too much. It's just sewer is a big problem here. We all contribute to that. And as for the little recreational area, we have 3 of them in Lake Country Village. Just about that much activity. So it's nice,
You've got
putting that in,
you've
a
got
picnic
snowbirds.
table and a barbecue might be nice too, but kids just want to be around kids. So they gravitate to those areas, but usually a lot of the parks and stuff just aren't used enough. It's nice that he's putting that in. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions, folks? If not, again, I know we've discussed, I guess what would be outlined as a number of conditions and
Mm-hmm. We just need to have them listed out so that we can.
Follow up.
Yes.
Can we list those conditions before we make a motion? Because then we can just refer to the list.
The SWIP, erosion, segmentation plan, drawing,
Say,
What was that?
erosion,
It's erosion and
sedimentation prevention plan, drawing, there's the plan drawing, yeah, to add to the,
We need to amend the landscape plan.
Or just adopt the
Adopt
alternative.
the new one.
You're still gonna submit C301, right, Eric? That's almost done, right?
Correct.
Right? No, that's okay. Yeah.
That was, I'm sorry, C301.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's the layout.
That's the one in progress.
Yep.
You got a lot of stuff in progress and or close.
Well,
You-
at
you
the
are
time of
that
submittal,
close.
yeah, at
Yeah,
the time
yeah,
of
yeah.
submittal, the three detailed drawings are not available yet.
Yeah,
That's-
last week.
I wanted to show progress here.
Yeah, no,
What's the
yeah.
official name on C301? What do we call
Grading, grading and layout.
There's a, yeah, there's an index on the front
Yeah.
page.
Stormwater pollution prevention.
What other, conditions did we have?
Was it showing the easement?
Okay, so
Oh.
Yeah,
Easement plan?
an easement plan, there you go.
showing the easements that
Mm-hmm.
have been secured, are going.
Are going away. Yeah,
So just to be clear, on the landscape plan, the landscape plans that we have in our packets
Are,
are not, we're gonna go with that one.
Right,
yes,
that's the
superseded by,
He referred to it as the alternative plan.
See- the what?
The smaller one.
I don't know.
No, I didn't see it.
Don't have
I
a
don't know.
small photo. Is it in your file?
There was a small code.
having to do all that.
So I have the SWIP, erosion control and sediment plan, C 3.1. We're going to adopt the alternative landscape plan, complete the detailed plans, and have an easement plan.
That's C3, C301.
Yeah,
Is that what you
What'd I
meant?
say?
yeah.
C3.1. That's
I
okay.
apologize. I meant C point
301.
301 is what I
Got it.
meant to
There you
say.
go.
Are there any others that we missed?
I'll run down through them real quick. So add the erosion sediment control plan, provide the complete stormwater pollution prevention plan.
Calculations
It
included.
would, you know, with calculations, detail the stormwater discharge and head wall, which may include, discussion of easement and grading on the adjacent property. Landscaping, we're talking about adding trees along the frontage, which I guess we're liking your revised landscape plan.
Trees.
Yep, if that can get included in Eric's final package. A proposed easement map, both, I guess, what's being abandoned and what's existing, and what's, needs to be obtained. And sheet C301. Final, I guess all plans final, you know, without.
And basically, yeah, consolidate and compile all your plans
Right.
into
and
one
just
big document.
For your understanding, the word preliminary on there, in our mind, it's preliminary until the planning board approves it. And there are a few minor details here, but it'll shift into final quite quickly.
I think we talked colors.
We listed some out. I think every single time he's mentioning a siding or a color, it is noted on the drawings. Might be tiny, but it, you know, we could go over and say, you know, Solvency, Sterling Gray, and Charcoal Gray are used, Pinnacle Prestige, Black, Atlas Shingles, Burgundy Door, TheraTrue. I think it's all in the fine print, and I don't think we need to restate it.
Okay.
I just referenced the drawing by title and date.
Yeah.
As shown.
Okay, that's the list I have. If anybody else has anything else to add, or.
That's the list I have too.
Okay.
Sounds like you can drive. Yeah.
With that said, if there's no further comment, do I have a motion for the application in front of us.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve 2016-27 for Enclave Estates with the preceding read contingencies. Did you get all of those? Right, okay. As stated.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, do I have any further comment, discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I, having read the minutes previously, so I was up to date this before approving this tonight.
Okay. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
So how are your relations with Mr. Leonard?
Okay.
You think you're gonna be able to talk to him about that head wall?
Yeah, I'm sure he's gonna put a pipe through when he develops that also.
Something similar.
Yeah.
It should be better anyway, to tie it into that head wall, so we're gonna need surface water.
And then tie it in, get a lot of good off that pass through.
I agree.
That's good, Rob. I was thinking more local than pool, but freaking peanut gallery.
Good to see you again.
Need a motion, Jim?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, how about that? Need a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a motion?
I guess we'll be talking, huh?
A motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Aye.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Before you go on vacation,
Yes, we'll.
God bless you. God bless you.
Oh, I'm gonna.
I won't come looking for you. One of these other guys of mine, not me. You know me better than that.